this evening. We'll start with the hockey and we say good evening to Sam Spooner. How's your week been, Sam?
A bit hectic, looking forward to the weekend.
Well, you say that you've got a tough game in store yourself, haven't you?
It looks like it's going to be a tough game, yeah. Vikings A, Vikings B tomorrow, so it's a derby day.
And you're feeling confident?
I'm feeling confident we'll keep them to less than 5.
There's hesitation in his voice. Well, I'll say all the best of luck to you now. But your highlighted games this week, let's start in the Women's Premier. Ramsey A against Vikings A. Vikings A obviously winning 4-0 against Valkyries A last week. You would imagine they are favourites for this match. Comfortable favourites, I would say. Yeah,
they are comfortable favourites for this match. But before last week, I would have said that Ramsey are probably going to be one of those teams that are, well, probably the team that are challenging Vikings for the title. But after last week's draw with Backers A, I said it last week as well, they just can't stop stealing points off each other below Vikings, so it just gives Vikings an extra advantage. That being said, Vikings A always seem to be one step ahead of the teams below them. They always seem to have that extra gear capable of winning them games when they seem to be playing not at their best. Ramsey are disappointed with that result last week against Backers A, and they've been aiming for Vikings A for a number of seasons now. So they are going to be well up for this game. That being said, Ramsey are missing one player this weekend, and they've got 2 or 3 players carrying injuries into the game as well. So I think there's a bit of a doubt there whether they can perform for 70 minutes, at which point I think Vikings A always seem to get goals they need regardless of what time of the game it is. But in that final quarter of the game, I think they're really going to turn it up and bang some goals in against Ramsey A. Vikings A, Zoe Crow's back this week, which is a huge plus for them, and they're further strengthened by the addition from the B team of Kirsty McCarry. Mia Greenwood has returned to university, so that's a huge loss for them. But when you've got Zoe Crow and Kirsty McCarry coming in, it sort of soaks up that loss very easily.
Well, that's quite an interesting point, because I said before to you just then that Vikings are comfortable favourites, and that's not me having a go at Ramsey A. That's just Vikings A have the quality and they've done it time and time again. Is there anybody coming through the ranks who are challenging for a starting place ahead of, I mean, no one's going to take Kim Carney, Mia Greenwood, Kirsty Cooper out the side, but is there anybody new coming through, a new star, which is going to continue this success for Vikings A?
Yes, just funny you should say that, because we were going to talk about some of the youngsters coming through in our other game of the day. But if you look at the Vikings B team and the youth players you've got in there, you've got Alexa Millie-Duggar, Mia Hall, Cara Ewell, Blake Kane, that have all stepped in for their first full-time season in the ladies, where they're not necessarily, they're representing their ladies team primarily. They're not representing under 16s and then being called up. So that's just 4 players off the top of my head that I can name that are playing in that Vikings B team this season. So they always seem to have that 3 or 4 players that continually come through. And yeah, a few of them disappear off to uni, but when they come back, they've been an even better player. So they do have a production line that seems to keep these players coming.
What can Ramsey A do then to counter the attacking threat of Vikings A?
They have to be incredibly well organised. And in previous seasons, they have been really well organised. You've got Charlotte Oldfield at the back there for Ramsey A, who is a very, very good defender, ladies island player as well. But like I said, with the couple of players they've got carrying injuries into the game, and they're missing one player this week as well, maybe that strength and depth they haven't quite got that can match Vikings A's strength and depth.
I mean, I know I was banging on about it a lot in the mixed season, but Ramsey did seem a very organised side, as you've just said. A real team. They didn't have any particular stars that shone out above the rest, but they all did their jobs, and the success, the proof was in the pudding.
Yeah, and that's the same for Ramsey men's as well. There's no superstars in their sides necessarily, but there's a group of players that all get along together very, very well and play primarily as a team. There's no superstars that stand out and say, I want the ball or I am the best. They are all very good hockey players, and they all play together as a team. That being said, Vikings A are, at this point, when you can turn around and say you're a decade unbeaten, they're all superstars. You know, everybody that's had a part to play in that Vikings A team over the past 10 years is a part of a superstar squad.
Well, it's some record. Let's look at their B team, because they're also in action in PWC Women's Division 1 tomorrow afternoon. Vikings B against Bacchus Colts, both of whom registered wins in their opening games of the season. Vikings 4-0 against Quins B, Bacchus Colts 7-1 against Ramsey B. Is this one in the balance?
I on the balance, well, if you look at the scores last week, they both got off to winning starts. But when you look at the Bacchus Colts squad, it's incredibly strong. You've got Bacchus Colts are sort of a newly formed side this year. They've come out of the Bacchus B and Bacchus C teams from last year. And the aim was to provide a pathway for the juniors, for the Bacchus ladies, especially those that are just coming through from the under-16 squads. When you look at the squad, they've got ex-Island players in there: Neve Goddard, Sharon Pope, Ros Lynch, Sam Franklin. That's huge amounts of experience there. And they're still very, very, very good players. And then you've got that experience mixed with the up-and-coming players from youth teams like Lily Ellison, Jess Humphreys, Sinead Cox, Bobby Hempsell. That's an exceptional side. A lot of those players wouldn't look out of place in that Bacchus A team. Vikings B, on the other hand, they're in a bit of a transition at the moment. There's only 4 or 5 players in the team sheets that are still there from last year. Ellis Kerford isn't playing this year. Becky O'Brien isn't able to play this year either. But then you've got the returning Bannister sisters. Emma Graham returns this year as well. And then you see the added strength along with the homegrown talent with Millie Duggan, Mia Hall, Cara Ewell, Blake Kane, all stepping up for the junior ranks for the first full ladies season. So I think it's going to be a tighter game than Bacchus had last week, but I think Bacchus Colts probably on paper got the better squad. The
way you're talking about Bacchus Colts there, I mean, that's the dream, isn't it, to have the blend of experienced or quality experienced players and those ones coming through. Are Bacchus Colts your favourites to take the title in PWC Women's Division 1?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the way that they play, they've got the physicality needed to win divisions at this level as well. I think Bacchus Colts are going to win this title.
Going to be great experience for them if they do go on to lift the trophy at the end of the season. Which is your highlighted match in men's hockey this weekend?
Well, I've gone for men's Division 1 and Castanet versus Vikings C, the 2 early title challengers.
Vikings C 7-0 winners against Valkyries B last weekend. If you think that's impressive, well, Castletown A won 12-0 against Bacchus Colts. So again, is this one finally poised?
I don't think it's as finely poised given the squad news that I've had from Vikings C. Vikings C have had 3 very important players missing this week. Andy Harding, Ash Osborne, both on the score sheet last week, both missing, and goalkeeper Adam Braidwood is unavailable as well. That being said, they have got players to step in. They've got the likes of Nate Evans, Eddie and Archie Cayley, Kyle Watson, and Max Kermode that have all stepped up from the junior sides this year that will be playing in that game tomorrow. But when you look at Castown A, they are a squad made up of experienced but young players. I can't see any player in that squad that's really over the age of 31, 32. You've got Stevie Ronan, who really is their linchpin in that side. He's their enforcer in that midfield, driving forward. I don't see how Vikings C can really stop that. The 12-0 demolition last week against Bacchus Colts was a huge statement of intent. They are going for the title. They want back in that Premier League. Vikings C made a statement of intent as well, but when you lose players like Andy Harding and Ash Osborne, the two of the most experienced players in the side, you struggle to rebalance the sides and for the week after. So I think Castanet are probably going to come away with the win here, fairly comfortably as well. But Vikings C are going to give them a good game.
And you'll be going through all the games in hockey, local hockey, tomorrow with Ed Oldham in Saturday Sport. And will it be you or James Russell back for Saturday Sport classified at 5 o'clock?
It'll be me.
It will be you.
Yeah.
So we'll get your live reaction to the match, which is taking place in PWC Men's Premier League, Vikings A against Vikings B, which Sam Spooner will be starring in and no doubt making a number of quality saves.
We'll see.
Sam, thanks very much for joining us again this evening, and all the best tomorrow.
Thank you very much.